Once upon a time, there was a young man who had an evil dad who liked to steal his potatoes. After a lot of therapy, the young man decided to change his name and move to a different state. Potatoes brought only sadness and potato grifters, so the young man didn't want to farm them anymore. However, he didn't want to give up on his love of farming altogether. He wanted a calming crop that he didn't have to harvest. He decided to start a you-pick lavender farm. The young man planted, watered, and weeded. The lavender looked wonderful. The young man was excited for the grand opening of his you-pick farm the next day. That night, he went to sleep with sweet-scented lavender dreams. In the morning, he awoke to a nightmare. On his desk was a note that simply said, "It was me." The young man did not want to look in his field, but he did anyway. It was bare. He started to cry, but then he realized that he had cried enough over his evil dad. The young man didn't know what his father's problem was. His dad didn't even like lavender. But now that the young man knew what to expect, he would be ready. Several months later, the young man had replanted the lavender. He also set several traps to catch the spry old man. His evil dad would be the one who cried this time. The night before his you-pick opened, the young man watched his field on the elaborate camera system he had set up. On the outer perimeter of the field, his dad came across the squirrel mercenaries. At first, they swarmed his dad, but then they seemed to be having a conversation. When the son used the camera to zoom in, he noticed that his dad was showing them a chart which had the words "average squirrel mercenary pay" by area on it. "What the hell?" thought the son. When he zoomed in again, the squirrels were wearing tiny shirts that said Union on them and leaving the field. "That's okay," thought the son. "He won't escape the next trap." A little bit further in the field was a lava moat and several alligators wearing heat-proof suits. The old man grabbed his backpack, pressed a button, and converted it to a jetpack. He then flew over the young man's trap. Unfortunately, for the old man, he flew right into the young man's next trap. He rocketed full speed into a magical barrier that turned him into a pile of hair. Then a giant fan scattered the old man on the winds. The young man knew that it would take his dad a while to reconstitute himself, so he decided to harvest and dry the lavender to bring inside. The young man slept peacefully for the first time in a while. He knew that his dad would take a while to put himself together, and that even if his dad somehow managed to break in, his $1 million cyborg cat clones would defend his home. He had wanted to do a you-pick, but selling dried lavender on the internet was almost as good. At least he had the calming smell to remind him of the victory over his dad. When the young man woke up, he knew something was wrong. His living room was filled with catnip, and his cyborg cats were grooming each other. He found a note on his desk. It said, "Nice try." The young man checked himself into inpatient mental health treatment. After a couple years, he can now see lavender, potatoes, and old men without screaming. His cat is supporting him through his recovery.